Hello again, everybody. Today's video is a result of a bucket list item that Kathy and I recently fulfilled. That item was to stay at the historic Hotel del Coronado in California. The Del, of course, is very rich in history, and among all the other things, the hotel became a star in Hollywood. Many films were shot there, dating back to the silent film era, when they called them moving pictures. But today we're going to feature one of the all-time classics, Some Like It Hot. The film was shot in 1958. It starred Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon, and it was produced, directed, and co-written by the one and only Billy Wilder. The storyline was set in 1929, and the Del definitely fit that bill. It was built in 1887, and it basically went unchanged even to this day. So we'll take a look around the hotel, see how things have changed, but also have stayed the same. You know, there are many side stories to this movie, but in today's video, we're just discussing how the Del played a role in the movie that many consider to be one of the greatest motion picture comedies of all time. We'll also talk about and visit some other locations related to the movie, so you're invited to join us on this look back at Some Like It Hot. Now, many renovations have taken place on the hotel since 1958, but as they say, the bones have stayed intact. The front entrance of the hotel was just recently redesigned and opened in 2022. Some Like It Hot was shot in black and white by choice of Billy Wilder. And here's how it looked in the movie as it was introduced as an oceanfront Florida resort. Although you don't see red, the iconic turret and the Victorian architecture is unmistakable. The movie also highlighted the Del's classic front porch with its rocking chairs. But just after the movie in 1961, they built over the porch and it vanished for many decades. But during the latest $400 million renovation, using many pictures, the porch was painstakingly reconstructed to its glory days. Now, a very important item which appeared in the movie in that same area has survived all the changes and has remained in the same spot. No, it's not a structure, but it's a tree. The Del's famous dragon tree. In 1958, it was nearly 70 years old as Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis take a stroll. And here, Jack Lemmon is actually holding a branch in this scene with actor Joey Brown. Now, it's over 130 years old, and it still looks great. Today, at its base, a plaque pays tribute to the tree and its star performance in Some Like It Hot. Coronado, or Central Beach, was also very famous in the movie. Large crowds lined the beach to just get a glimpse of the stars, especially Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn was accompanied by then-husband Arthur Miller, and she was actually pregnant. And although she had her issues during the production, the crowds still loved her and stood for hours just to get a glimpse.
Syncopators, does that mean you play that very fast music, jazz?
Yeah, real hot.
Oh, well, I guess Some Like It Hot. I personally prefer classical music.
Many great shots of the hotel, the red turret and Point Loma, peppered the background. One detail which hasn't changed from 1958 is the air traffic from Naval Air Station North Island, which runways just sit down the beach from the Del.
It's great fun. It's beautiful. We had fun shooting there. It was great. The only problem we had was it's near an Army or Navy base, I think. Airplanes kept coming over and it would blow the sound in a take. And you have to squeeze the takes in between. And they were just going all day long.
Daddy, I had no idea you're such a big girl.
Oh, sugar, you should have seen me before I went on a diet. Oh,
I mean, your shoulders and your arms.
oh well, that's from carrying that bull fiddle around all day.
Oh, there's one thing I envy you for.
What's that?
You're so flat-chested. Clothes hang better on you than they do on me.
Just a side note for those of you who are not familiar, Top Gun Maverick shot on North Island Naval Air Station.
Started filming here along the runway using a Fleet Readiness Center airplane. And then we moved on to various shooting locations to include 2 aircraft carriers, 5 Faces Studios, Los Angeles.
So you can see movie history is still alive in Coronado.
Zowie.
Now, once again, the Del was only used for exterior shots. All the interiors of the hotel were constructed on a soundstage, although many of the details were based on the interior design of the Del. And those funny speedboat scenes, Well, they were shot just across the street at Glorieta Bay.
Ahoy there!
Ahoy! Been waiting long?
It's not how long you wait, it's who you're waiting for.
As you walk through the hallways of the Dell, the walls are full of pictures of days gone by. And the Dell is definitely not shy about their relationship with Some Like It Hot. From hallway tributes to the gift shop to Maryland's own dress store, Some Like It Hot is definitely embraced by the Dell. But if you're a history buff, there is so much more to learn. From its film appearances to its 11 presidential visits. And it was a lot of fun just retracing the steps from the movie. But during our visit, we had a special treat. The Dell was all dressed up for Christmas. So now we're heading north, about 130 miles, and our journey will continue in a city that might surprise some, Culver City. As many of you might remember, we've previously spoken about Culver City on this channel, its extensive motion picture history, and we've actually visited Culver Studios and the old 40 acres backlot location. And just blocks away from that backlot was another backlot, or lots. It was actually the largest, and it was considered the greatest backlot in Hollywood. We're of course speaking of the MGM Studios backlot. 165 acres in total, and it was separated into 6 lots. Today we're talking about Lot 2, the lot that Some Like It Hot shot on. Early on in the movie, the New York street set filled in for Chicago.
I think they got me.
That's where Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon were on the run from the mob. So, with their newfound identities, they were off to the train station, which was also on Lot 2.
Florida Limited leaving on track 1 for Washington.
It was known as the Grand Central Station set. Now, if that train station announcement sounds familiar, you likely have been to Disneyland. That's right, it's Jack Wagner, the famous Disney voiceover man.
Your attention, please.
His train announcements still play daily at the main street station in Disneyland.
Circle tour of the...
Now don't worry, we still have some more trivia about this train station set, and we'll discuss that in just a moment. Not unlike the 40 acres backlot, the 37 acres of Lot 2 was demolished in the mid-70s. We've now arrived at the intersection of Culver Boulevard and Alinda Street in Culver City. And as we make our left turn directly to the right, and behind the block wall, once set the Grand Central Station set. This is what it looked like at the time. Obviously today it's a residential development appropriately named Studio Estates. Now as you drive through the neighborhood, you quickly realize you're in a very special place, especially as you arrive at the intersection of Astaire Avenue and Garland Drive. Just down the road, you'll pass Skelton Circle before you arrive at Coogan Circle. Jackie Coogan started out as a child star and worked for many years at MGM, but most remember him for his later role as Uncle Fester in the Addams Family. Now it's at the end of Coogan Circle that Marilyn Monroe and many others walked along the Grand Central Station set. Just briefly, let's take a look at just a few of the classic movies that were shot on Lot 2. 1948, Easter Parade, starring Judy Garland, Fred Astaire, and Peter Lawford. 1952, Singing in the Rain, starring Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds. 1973, Soylent Green.
Under the direction of Richard Fleischer, a movie company prepares to film a detective story within the chilling atmosphere of a degenerating civilization.
Starring Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson. And the list could just go on and on. So, of course, we didn't forget about the Grand Central Station set. In Some Like It Hot, it was used for Marilyn Monroe's introduction into the movie. And it's been said that that steam blast as Marilyn walked by one of the cars was a nod to the famous dress shot over the subway grate that she and Wilder teamed up on in The 7-Year Itch some 4 years prior.
Isn't it delicious?
And apparently that Pullman train car that was used for all those memorable interiors was called the Clover Colony. That car was restored, and not only can it be visited today, but you can actually take a ride on it at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum in Chattanooga. Some Like It Hot was by no means the only motion picture to use the Grand Central Station set. Here are just a few others.
Up to Daisy. Fresh.
1953, Bandwagon, starring Fred Astaire. And it wouldn't be the last time Astaire would walk the same path. 21 years later, in 1974, Fred Astaire is seen here in That's Entertainment. It was a tribute to MGM's 50th anniversary.
I have a great many fond memories about this place. So many happy moments here worrying about whether or not we were getting the job done.
1974, Young Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
Oh, sorry. This classic Mel Brooks picture, of course, starred the great Gene Wilder, Peter Boyle, and a long list of others.
She's not a millionaire.
And yes, in 1975, the station got new life in The Fortune, starring Warren Beatty and Jack Nicholson. It would be the last time that the set was in polished movie shape. 2 years later, in 1977, the Bee Gees used the backlot for their Stayin' Alive music video. It would be the last time that the Grand Central train station set would appear on film. Well, it's time to wrap things up, but I thought we'd visit 2 more locations. One is just about 4 miles away, the Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park. In this small but peaceful place, Jack Lemmon and Billy Wilder are laid to rest. They're literally just feet apart. Marilyn Monroe lies within eyesight. And a quick trip to Las Vegas, we find the final resting place of Tony Curtis. I can't help but thank them for all of their work in leaving us with this classic motion picture.
I think they started thinking about casting very early, because if the picture isn't cast properly, you can't make it. It's one of those in which there wasn't possible to make too much of a substitution. They had Tony Curtis first. Billy very much wanted to use Jack as the other actor, but he felt that if he couldn't use Jack, Tony could play either part. So Tony was signed originally. Then the people with the money decided that Jack was not a big enough star at this point, and they wanted him to use Sinatra.
He said he was going to get Frank Sinatra to play one part and Mitzi Gaynor to play the other. After about a week, he called me in again and said he wasn't going to do that because he felt Frank Sinatra would be too much trouble.
Billy made a date with Sinatra for lunch to discuss it with him, and Sinatra didn't show up. And at about the same time, or shortly thereafter, Billy heard from Marilyn, who said she would like to work with him again. And he said, okay. And once you have Marilyn and Tony, Jack is now a big enough star.
He said, if you take the part, you're going to be in drag for 85% of the picture. Do you want to do it? I thought for about 2 split seconds, and then I said yes. And he says, okay, I'll send you a script sometime. And I said, okay, thanks very much. And we said goodnight. And we got outside, and Felicia immediately said, why did you say yes without a script? And I said, because it's Billy Wilder. That's why.
I said I wanted to do something a little unique, you know? And I had this kind of half-assed Cary Grant, hello, my darling, I do believe I've got a pebble in my left boot. Get out of my way, I want to look at my yacht.
See what I mean? Not very bright.
If she gets the line out, absolute perfect in timing, the sound of her voice. She knew where the joke was. She was not a dilettante. She was born with that kind of gift.
And I think that Billy was at his peak as a director, let alone as a writer.
You don't need to look at it now and say, oh, it lost a little. It's lost nothing. Nothing.
So, that's a take. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. But then again,
Nobody's perfect.
I'll see you next time. Take care.